If you're outside the UK, the phrase chip butty possibly doesn't make any sense to you. But it's one of my favourite things to have when we have a chippy tea. Probably another sentence that doesn't make any sense to you. So what's a chippy tea? You do probably know what it is. It's when you have fish and chips for dinner. There was even a song about it. Chippy tea, chippy tea. The English are synonymous with having fish and chips, and it is indeed enjoyed by everyone. You can expect to find a piece of white fish, haddock or cod typically, obviously chips, but then a whole array of sides which vary massively as you go around the country, from orange chips in the Midlands to parmos in the northeast, and hundreds of other variants, some of which I've never tried. When I have fish and chips, one of the best things I like to have is a chip butty. And of course, chips means chipped potatoes. You may know them as fries in other parts of the world. That is then put into a sandwich. It's that carb on carb stodge that we do so well in this country. So I'm making chips the chip shop way. And that's already going to generate loads of comments about, oh no, we don't actually do it like that. But, you know, by and large, this is how chip shops do it. First of all, peeled flowery potatoes. So potatoes cut into chip shapes and then given a very quick wash just to remove the surface level starch. The starch acts as a barrier to stop them getting a little bit crispy. So after a quick wash, I'm just going to dry them off. Because we're going to be deep frying them, we could air fry them, we could shallow fry them, but a chip shop will deep fry their chips. Not triple cooked, it's going to be a double cook. A lowish temperature, 150 degrees C, something like that, for 7 to 8 minutes, and a second fry to actually crisp them up. So we want shot of all that water that's on the surface, because that water on the surface, you know, gets very angry when it starts to be deep fried. So let's set them off on their first fry. This seems like a very simple recipe. Usually on this channel I investigate all sorts of complicated chefy things, but I'm doing this one for a very specific reason. The reason I'm making it is because of a really charming interaction between Marco Pierre White and Anthony Bourdain. In the series No Reservations, Marco takes Anthony to a fish and chip shop in Weymouth. Anthony Bourdain spent his TV career looking for the real thing, and it's really telling that Marco takes Tony to like one of the most democratic restaurants there is. Not a fine dining 3-star establishment, but a corner fish and chip shop where anybody can walk in, is really common food, understood by everyone, and everyone gets it. It's a real truth at the core of food and cooking, that nostalgia and memory and just treating ingredients well is one of the best things you can do with food. He took him to the fish and chip restaurant, treated him to haddock, my personal favourite, chips, mushy peas, and a chip butty.
I like a chip butty.
I don't know that I've ever had one. I've heard of them.
Delicious.
And you can see after that first cook, they're kind of pale, not terribly appetising. They're edible, but not really cooked. So now they need to be finished. Once the fryers come up to a much hotter temperature, about 180, we can then just finish cooking them for 2 or 3 minutes till they're nicely coloured and provide that satisfying crunch. And what about the bread? Well, don't go for sourdough. Don't go for something that actually comes from a bakery. You want a cheap, plasticky supermarket loaf. This soft, pappy bread is what we're used to for this sandwich. As Marco himself says, he likes the bread and the potato to be the same texture. And a smear of butter, because what this snack needs is more fat. So let's finish the fry at the higher temperature. There they are after that second fry, brown and crisp. And what about the fat used? Well, a very traditional fish and chip shop might use a beef fat, a dripping in large blocks, or they might use a commercial fat product. This is just vegetable oil or sunflower oil, I can't remember which. Just a plain oil that's not going to do anything to the flavour of the chips. They're crispy, they're fluffy, and they're going to go great in this sandwich. So, seasoning. And seasoning is a posh word for what we're doing here. We're just adding ordinary table salt. No room for Maldon salt, my absolute favourite, in here. When you put salt on first, or vinegar on first, is something else. But actually, most people would use non-brewed condiment, which reminds you of vinegar. Let's just put it that way. Just going to pile those up. And there we have the great British chip butty. And that is an exercise in textures. A tiny bit of crunch, pillowy potato, soft, squidgy bread, saltiness, a little bit of tang from the condiment, and it all comes together. It would taste even better if I was within earshot of the sea. But that's a proper snack. I often do technical and challenging recipes on this channel. Not today. I make no apologies for it. This is a celebration of a very simple idea enjoyed by two great friends.
That's why it's perfect.
And if you enjoyed that, you'll probably like this other discussion of Anthony Bourdain and Pierre. And I'll catch you next time.